Hello everyone. In this video today we are going to be talking about the income and asset calculation worksheet, and we are specifically looking at third-party employment verifications today. We will discuss using pay stubs in a different video, but today we're talking about third-party. So first I want to just talk a little bit about the employment verification itself. This one is called the Exhibit C. It's specific to Missouri, but they're all pretty much the same and will have a lot of the same information. We've got the property name, property number, unit number, the date, employer information, and we've got where it needs to be returned to, applicant information, and then a signature by the manager on this specific form. The section we are most concerned about is down below this black line here. So we've got the employee's name, job title, which shows Michelle's an acrobat. That she's presently employed, date first employed, current wages, and it's showing it's $10 an hour, and then the average hours per week. We've got year-to-date earnings and the dates for those year-to-date earnings, overtime rate, average number of overtime hours per week, shift differential, commissions, bonuses, and tips, anticipated changes, and then whether the employment is seasonal or sporadic. We also have additional remarks that we need to talk about as well. So a couple of things. When you first look at the employment verification, we just want to make sure that they have not left anything blank and that there is nothing that doesn't make sense on it that we would need to clarify. If there are blank items, we would need to get a clarification before we could fill out the calculation worksheet. So for example, here they've got the overtime rate of $15 per hour, but if they left the number of overtime or average number of overtime hours per week blank, I would need to call and verify that information. Another one that might come up on here is that if I had, like here I've got commissions, bonuses, or tips, I've got a $2,000 bonus. It's paid yearly. It tells me down in the remarks that this bonus is paid at Christmas time, but if I didn't know specifically when the bonus was paid, I would probably want to call and clarify that because it will make a difference on my calculations, especially on the year-to-date amounts. I need to know if that's included in the current year-to-date. So specifically on this one, since bonus is paid at Christmas time, I see the year-to-date earnings are from 1/1/2018. That's telling me that the bonus is probably not included in that year-to-date earnings. When we do our calculation, we can kind of look at the difference between the anticipated and the year-to-date. So now we're going to go over to our calculation worksheet. A couple of things that I want to point out first of all is when you open this up, make sure you look at the tabs at the bottom because we've got different sheets for different items. So this one is the income calculation EV, which is employment verification. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We'll be talking about pay stubs and child support in other videos. Up at the top, we've got the household member information, unit number, move-in or recertification date, and the set-aside for this one is 60%. Then up at the top, we've got some non-wage income. Basically, we're talking about Social Security, gift income, pensions, child support, those types of things. And we will also discuss those in other videos. Today, we're just talking about the employment verification if it's a third party. So we're going to scroll down just a little bit. We've got this information here that tells us the total pay periods that should equal 52 if paid weekly, 26 if paid biweekly, 24 if paid semi-monthly, 12 monthly, 4 quarterly, and 1 if it's paid annually. So that tells us information that we'll need to use down here in this box. First one is our regular rate of pay. So we can see on our employment verification that Michelle gets $10 an hour. Hours per pay period, we get 40 hours a week, and since we're talking about weeks, we're going to choose 52 weeks in a year. That gives us an annual income here of $20,800. We also need to add some overtime information because it's listed. So on the employment verification, it says $15 an hour. She averages 3 hours a week of overtime. And again, we would need to do 52 weeks. The other income that we need to deal with is that they list out a bonus of $2,000. So I'm going to put this in this box here. And the pay period, since it's a one-time payment, it says it's paid yearly. We would put a 1 here and a 1 under total pay periods. So this amount here should equal over in this column here. So this shows now, before our raise, our annual income is $25,140. We have a raise that we need to deal with. So on our employment verification, we're going to look. They tell us that it's a 5% raise. Sometimes they will give you an amount like 25 cents or 50 cents or whatever it is. So we've got a couple of different calculators down here. this first calculator here is if we are given a rate amount. So if, for instance, they told me it was $10 currently, but it was going up to $11, I would put that information in to use get my raise percentage. But I already have a percentage. I'm just trying to find out what the raise will be. So the current rate of pay is $10, and it's a 5% raise. So that shows me the new rate of pay will be $10.50. I also need to figure out my overtime amounts. So the current rate of overtime is 15. If we add in a 5% raise, that brings us to $15.75. So we're going to use this information here, the $10.50 and the $15.75. We need to come over and input that information into this next column, which deals with our raises. So the first box we need to deal with is the increase effective date. So according to the employment verification, this raise will take effect on 1/1 of 19. So then it breaks down the weeks at the current rate and the weeks at the new rate. These are going to equal 52. So the new rate, and we want to come straight across here, we've got the regular and we've got the arrow that takes it straight across. So the new rate for regular pay is $10.50. We got that from our little calculator at the bottom. And then we want to come over here, the overtime, the new rate is $15.75. So that shows us that with the raises now we have 26,004.64. That's going to be our anticipated earnings increase. All right. Now we need to talk about our year-to-date, because basically what we're going to do on an employment verification is look at the anticipated and the year-to-date and then use the higher. Now if there's a big difference between the two, we would need to call and clarify why. So for example, I've got a total annual income here of 26,004.64. If my year-to-date came out to like 29, pretty much anything over $2,000 or under $2,000, we just want to call and clarify and find out what the reason is. In this example, if we didn't have the information about when the bonus was paid, that might throw off that year-to-date total. All right, so this first box, year-to-date, the from date. So on our pay information here, we've got the current year-to-date earnings start 1/1/2018. So we're going to put in 1/1/2018. And then the pay through date on our verification says 8/15/2018. And then the actual earnings. So they gave us a total of 14,460.49. All right. Then the number of weeks worked per year, that's going to be 52. Other pay, remember we've got that bonus that we need to deal with, so we're going to put in that other pay of $2,000. And then we need to put in the raise effective date. So it says on here that the raise will be effective on 1/1/2019. And the raise percentage is 5%. All right, so now I can see my gross year-to-date income is 26,053.38. And then look how close that is to my total annual income. So since there's not a big difference there, it's not over 2,000, not under 2,000, then I can use this information. And I would use the higher on my tick. So I would use this one here under the gross year-to-date because it's just a little bit higher than my anticipated. This file expiration information, so I would want to put the date of the oldest verification in my file just to see how long these verifications are going to be good for the file. So let's say that I received this one back on 8/17. I put that information in. It just tells me that the 90-day file expiration date would be 11/15 and the 120 would be 12/15/2018. So that gives us the basic information. I would need to print this off because I'm going to use this information for my tick, and also we'll upload it into Docs Management along with the employment verification and any clarification reports that I needed for backup documentation. And that is pretty much it for the employment verification and the income asset calculation worksheet.